boy, do I have a remarkable entrepreneur today. And she didn't start out that way. So we got some great backstory. But one of the things that each of us as an entrepreneur needs to do is we have to master our time. We have to master our energy. If we're going to make a big difference, make the impact that we want to have, we got to make an impact on ourselves first. Today, this remarkable entrepreneur is going to share how she's made that impact, not only on herself, but everyone around her. She has the privilege of working with many hundreds of the top entrepreneurs in the world. I'm John Bowen. You are at AES Nation. It's all about accelerating your success. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss Nancy Mackay. She's going to share with you how you can accelerate your success by mastering time. Stay tuned.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Nancy Mackay, thank you very much for joining me. I was blown away. We met at a mastermind group, Joe Polish's Genius Network, and you were sharing with me all the impact that you are having around the world. And it was like, I wanted to share you with our audience. So first of all, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor and a privilege.
Well, it really is an honor on my side. And Nancy, one of the things that you do, you and your husband have a fantastic CEO forum in Canada. You work with hundreds of the top entrepreneurs in Canada. There's all kinds of lessons learned, and we're going to focus on time mastery because this is a passion of both you and I. But what I want to do is, I'm thinking, kind of the classic question as you woke up as a young girl, a little girl, you didn't think about running a CEO forum. I know, because you had a different history. Maybe give us a little backstory of how you got to where you are, so that when we dive in, everybody's got that kind of framing.
Well, I founded Mackay CEO Forums over 10 years ago because my whole career I focused on working with CEOs and executives. I'm a former university professor. I taught hundreds of executive MBA students over 15 years, and I was a global consultant with large firms. And about 10 years ago, I realized that it was so lonely at the top for CEOs and business owners. And I thought, you know what? If I could put people together so that they can help each other deal with their toughest issues and challenges and their biggest opportunities, that all good things would come of that, and they'd achieve greater success with their business, personal, and family. So that's why I started Mackay CEO Forums 10 years ago, and that was just me. And so fast forward to today, where we have over 800 CEOs and top executives across Canada, and they participate in these peer groups.
Yeah, no, it really is amazing. I mean, one of the things, we met at a mastermind group of fellow CEOs, and I spend over $100,000 a year being in groups like yours, and because I'm in the States. If I were back up in Canada, I would be there, Nancy. And
thank you.
Well, and one of the things, this is so important. I mean, one of the reasons why we created AES Nation is to have a virtual sharing, but the power of these CEO groups are just amazing. But, give me a little bit of background, because, I mean, it's not, I do know a number of college professors that went out and became entrepreneurs, but it's a small number. And to go out and create something like this, because my experience with CEOs is they're a pretty demanding audience to kind of, create that value. So what was kind of that tipping point that got you to leave academic, the academic pursuit, teaching, the MBA programs?
Well, I had been a professor in Canada and in New Zealand for over 15 years. And I was feeling like I was in the classroom and teaching all these executives, and then they come back into the classroom and say, oh, went back to my company, I couldn't actually make it happen because my boss said, that's just MBA speak. And I thought, am I really having an impact in the world that I want to have? And then my husband at the time, who's my business partner, he was a banker, commercial lender, and that was sucking the life out of him. And we had dinner one night, and I said, you know what? You need to quit your job as a banker. I need to quit my job as a professor, and we're going to become entrepreneurs, and we're going to make a huge difference in the world, and we're going to have a lot of fun and doing so as entrepreneurs. And he looked at me. We were halfway through a bottle of wine, and he said, you are kidding me. We have no clients. We have 2 little kids. We have a huge mortgage in North Vancouver. Housing prices were extreme back then as well. And he said, how are we going to do that? And I said, you know what? We're just going to live the entrepreneurial dream. We toasted to it. And literally 10 years later, we never looked back, and just the best decision we ever made, because I believe that being an entrepreneur is just such a huge, empowering way to live your life, so that you can actually really make a huge contribution to the world, to the people that matter most to you. And, it hasn't always been easy, which I'm happy to share some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. But that's how it all got started, is one dinner at the Hurricane Grill here in North Vancouver.
Now, and I'm pretty sure you finished that full bottle of wine too.
We got into a second bottle of wine.
Okay. Yeah, it's needed. One of the things, Nancy, that's so important, I mean, this is what's so impressive, is, as entrepreneurs, it is so easy to get, lonely as we go out, and, we want to build these businesses. And a lot of times people get mixed up. They think it's greed. We want to build these businesses so that we can really take care of the people we love, the stakeholders, and the causes we care about. And for some, it's really, how do we make a major impact? And, what I'd love to do is kind of dive into some of the lessons that you've learned, not only through your and Rob's experience, but also through, having the privilege of, working, creating this forum with, 800 fellow CEOs. I mean, just the insights and the information. I mean, we want to share kind of what's working out there, and nobody gets through life unscarred, and certainly no entrepreneurs do that. So, what are some of the key drivers of success that you're seeing?
Well, I think it all started 10 years ago, where I got invited to be a speaker at a CEO peer group meeting, and there were 14 CEOs from non-compete, very successful companies, and after my presentation, they invited me to be their chair. And I didn't even know what these things were. And what I realized, what these peer groups were all about, was really helping people surround themselves with other successful people so that they could get all of the shortcuts, the successes, the failures, so that they didn't have to suck it up and just do it all themselves. And so I learned back then, with my very first group, which still exists today, I don't chair it anymore, that it is so lonely, and that if you don't master your time, if you don't really have a passion for what you're doing and really understand your strengths, it's almost impossible to be a successful entrepreneur or CEO, because, it's the passion that matters more than anything else. And then once you know what your passion is and your strengths, then you'll be totally motivated to do whatever it takes to build the competencies, to surround yourself with people to give you the shortcuts, and then to be able to identify the business needs. And that, to me, is the formula for extraordinary results. It starts with that passion, drives you to build competence, and hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people to give you shortcuts. You're addressing a need, and boom. But I find most people haven't figured out what their total passion is and what their strengths are. And as a result, we have a lot of people burning out. We still have a lot of CEOs and business owners not taking care of their health, not living the dream. They're busting their butts. They're working way too hard. They're losing their motivation. And so that's why I'm so passionate about time mastery for CEOs and owners, and really giving them the tools so that they can make the biggest difference in the world.
This is so important, and I see it over and over again. If you're out there working with fellow entrepreneurs, they get burnt out. It's very easy to do, and you see, many of the mistakes that you're talking about, Nancy, happening. And one of the things that I want to kind of address is maybe the passion part. And we hear kind of advice in both directions. I mean, it's a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm going to say wannabe entrepreneurs, they initially start because they just love the idea of being an entrepreneur. They're really not passionate about anything. And my experience then is that life beats them down a bit. And if you're not passionate, you need something. You need a big, solid purpose that you're going to have. So when you're getting you pull those covers over type thing and hide from it if you don't do it. And life's going to be really difficult as a business owner. I mean, things are going to happen that are unexpected. How can we go ahead and really get clarity on our passions and so we can use that focus to move forward?
Well, here's what I've discovered, working literally with hundreds of CEOs and executives over 10 years, teaching them time mastery, that this whole idea of passion is the key to it is really understanding what your strengths are. And that's pretty simple to do because it's what you love to do that is your strength. So for me, as an example, our vision at Mackay Farms is to populate the world with better leaders. To me, there's no place I'd rather be. I can do that every day, all day long. Whether my company's doing it, I get to do it, and with not-for-profits, with my family, with everybody in the world. And I just want to do that literally till the day I die. My plan is to go to 100 and go boom. And I want to help at least 10,000 people around the world. And that's my passion. And my strength comes from the fact that that's so compelling for me. And it also then you have to figure out, so what are the activities that you really enjoy doing? So for me, I love teaching. Since I was a little kid, I wanted to teach. And so I've done that my whole life. So I will continue to do that. And so other activities, well, I love hanging out with entrepreneurs. I love hanging out with people that are running businesses. And so those are the people I want to serve because I get a lot of inspiration and positive energy. So it's really, what are the activities every single day that give you energy and give you motivation and drive? And what are the activities that suck the life out of you? And you just have to get that stuff off your plate. That is so key. And if you're running a company, you get to decide where you're going to spend your time, but you have to be doing the hard work around what do you love to do? What gives you energy? And also we all have our blind spots. So when I'm coaching CEOs, I always say you need to get feedback from your customers, your direct reports, your board members, your partners. Get feedback. What are you doing that's working well? And what are you doing that's causing a train wreck? And get the feedback, because other people will help you understand what your gifts are, what your strengths are, and what you really should not ever be doing again because there's somebody else that's going to be way better than you.
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, people worry about, well, what am I really good at? Well, you said it clearly. If you enjoy doing it, pretty good chance you're good at it type thing. And I always think back in school where I was being taught how to work on my weaknesses. And I can't imagine anything worse than at the end of your career having really strong weaknesses. I mean, what we can do is you just need to be good at one thing, that you can create tremendous value. Capitalism works. If you deliver value, what will happen is you can go ahead and do exceptionally well by delivering that value. But you could then also attract a team around you, and the team shouldn't look like you. It should be filling in all those weaknesses, and it's just amazing. But I want to go to the part where we're talking about time mastery, and we're saying, okay, what are we good at? What are we passionate about? Help me. One of the as you have more and more success, Nancy, one of the big challenges is that we tend to attract more activities, more success, and it becomes overwhelming. And what our passion, it can be pretty easily erode when you're overwhelmed in life. How do you see entrepreneurs dealing with this overwhelmed situation?
Well, the number one tool that I personally use, that I've shared with hundreds of CEOs and entrepreneurs, is the 90-day plan. I fundamentally believe that we live in an exponential change world. And the pace of change and the overwhelm is just going to get more severe. It's not going to diminish. And so if you are running a significant business and you do not have a 90-day plan that identifies your big rocks, business, personal, and family, for the next 90 days, and the most important part of a 90-day plan is who can help. And most people have these goals And they believe that the key to success in life is to suck it up and figure it out and do it all themselves. And the number one shortcut, which is such a game changer in terms of time mastery, is every single goal that I have, whether it's business, personal, or family, I have someone who has been there and done that before that is going to help me accomplish that goal every 90 days. And then I share that. I get every person on my leadership team, they have their 90-day plans and who can help. And it's a game changer. And I notice when I do these workshops with CEOs, most people leave that blank. It's like they'll have the goals and they'll have when it's going to get done, but the who can help, I don't know. And that's why I'm such a believer of get connected to people who have been there and done that before. I mean, there's no way I would have got a PhD in New Zealand in 3 years if I hadn't found somebody in the US actually who was an expert in my area to help me get that done. There's no way Mackay Forms today would be in existence if I hadn't found so many mentors and coaches and what have you along my journey to give me all the shortcuts, right? I'd rather learn from somebody else's mistakes than my mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm so far from being perfect. But the key to time mastery is find other people so you can learn from the mistakes and their successes. And that makes it so much more fun.
It is so powerful. I mean, I think this is, I want to just echo this. And I always think of it that so many of us entrepreneurs are fairly quick starter types. And what we want to do is we figure we can learn this stuff and we can do it. And so we want to know how to do it. And the answer usually isn't how to do it. It's who to do it with. You know, who's that mentor, who's that consultant, who's that person on your team that can actually do this. And because once you get clear on the vision of what you want to accomplish and where you're really good, finding those other who's just shortcuts it like crazy.
Well, and it makes it a lot more fun, and it's going to have an exponential impact on your ability to make the biggest contribution possible. Because every day that you surround yourself with other people that are on the journey with you, that's just a game changer, exponential impact in terms of time mastery. And most people don't do it. So, you know, I want to challenge your listeners here today. If you have goals and you do not have the name of a person who's been there and done that before, and that person could be someplace else in the world, reach out to them and figure out how you're going to get access to their smarts, because that's going to be a huge shortcut. And it could be, you know, that's why these peer groups are so common at the top, because it's a ready-made instant access to people who've been there and done that before. So you can create your own and struggle, or, you know, get yourself into a peer group of people. But the best peer group, the best shortcuts are you're surrounding yourself with people who have been there and done that before, where you're headed. That's the peer group you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah, no, I was at a CEO meeting yesterday in Chicago, and I'm in Silicon Valley, so I flight out for the day or for overnight, and it was, you know, I've got pages of notes, but the ones that are all marked in red are the who's. I mean, I got such valuable introductions out of this, and you know, I was thinking as you were saying it, Nancy, you know, kind of where I have had mentors along the way, and at one time I started a mutual fund company, a series of mutual funds, and I remember I decided I was going to hire the best talent, the top consultants in the world. And I mean, you know, I really had a huge team. And then I had one fellow who had started a mutual fund family, and it was extremely successful. And he agreed to be on the board for the first year. And so David Booth of Dimensional Funds, David would just literally, everybody would give me all this advice, and I'd turn to David, and David would just tell me what to do. And you know, we ended up selling the business, but I mean, it's an extremely profitable business, doing a great job. And he laid all that foundation. I mean, he just flew up quarterly, and it was a boom, 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 boom. And you know, having somebody who's done it and knows what they're doing is just, you know, so valuable.
Well, and again, going back to time mastery, I've had mentors that are paid mentors. I have mentors that they're just mentoring me because what goes around comes around. And I've mentored a lot of people in my life. I've you know, been generous with supporting as many people as I possibly can. And it all comes back, you know, to each of us. So, but the key is to be very focused on what is it that you want to accomplish and who are the people that can help you. And then having the courage to take action. And so that's another thing that why I love working with CEOs and entrepreneurs, because, you know, if you're running a significant business, you must have a lot of courage. You must have a lot of somehow inspiration, passion to take those risks, to, even though people aren't necessarily all going to be supporting you, whatever barriers are in front of you, you're just going to keep on driving hard because you just believe so much in what you're doing. And my belief is this: it is possible to have an extraordinary business, an extraordinary relationship with your partner or your husband or spouse, an extraordinary contribution to, and not burn out. So it's not about working 24/7. We live in a world where it's about focusing on those outcomes, which is part of time mastery, and really being intentional. If those are the outcomes, where do you need to spend your time in your areas of strength so that you achieve and make the biggest contribution?
And Nancy, let me go on one that everybody talks about, and I haven't heard your take on this, is, this concept of, you broke it out into business, personal, and family, and when you think of time mastery, and one of the challenges, it's very easy to get overwhelmed, and you've talked about how, break it out into 90 days, which I do. I love that, because, we break it out into the big, hairy, audacious goal, that can get overwhelming, and stuff happens along the way. If we just get really clear on what we're going to accomplish over the 90 days, it can be very powerful. But we've got all these different stakeholders pulling on us, and we're told to have a balanced life, and so that we can be really effective. How do we use time mastery to kind of make this all work?
Well, I think that, again, it goes back to, along with my 90-day plan, I have my top 20 list over the next 90 days. Who are the people that I need to be spending time with over the next 90 days, whether it's business, personal, family? We just got a new puppy at the Mackay family here this weekend. We hired a dog trainer. That's the who. Oh my gosh, without our dog trainer, it would have been very, very painful. It's still kind of painful. We're going through the process, but it's a lot of fun and a lot more fun. So I look at it in 90 days, my goals, who are the people I need to be spending time with? And what do I need to say no to? And there's so many opportunities every single day coming at me and coming at, people that are running businesses. So it's being very clear about setting those boundaries and saying, you know what? Not over the next 90 days. I can't accept that invitation. I can't say yes to that because I need to commit to not letting my team down, not letting the key stakeholders down, or what have you. So it's about setting boundaries, and that's not going to make everybody happy. And I don't think life is about making everybody around you happy. I believe, because it's so fundamental to who I am, is I jump out of bed every day. I try to make the biggest contribution in all areas of my life. And I don't have any regrets every day in terms of how I'm spending my time and who I'm spending my time with and who I'm serving.
Well, and I think the most powerful thing you said, Nancy, is the ability to say no. I mean, as you have more success, you become, there's so many people that want a piece of you, some of that time. And, unless you're organized and you have the 90-day plan, you're clear on these top 20 that you're going to, for that 90-day period, you're going to build that relationship. I love the framing that because you can then say no, and it's not a no, it's not a hurtful no. It's just that you just can't do everything, and that's so important to do. One of the, as I look at this, and I want to, you have tremendous expertise on a whole bunch of fronts, but one that I want to grab real quick is the, finding mentors is hard, okay? And at least my experience, and they show up along the way. You reach out, some agree to do it, some don't. But one of the things that was a game changer for me was CEO forums. And what I'd love to do with your expertise is, how does somebody find, if they don't have the right mentor now, but they want to have, we're most of us as entrepreneurs, CEOs, we're busy doing it. We're in business, and what little time we have, family life, it's so easy not, that we've got everything we're taking care of. But by going out to the right CEO group, boy, I mean, that changed my life. I mean, I think back, I've got an MBA in finance, a master's in tax, all this educational undergraduate kind of metrics, and the best experience I ever had was in CEO groups. I just, learning those. How does someone who's, listening or watching this today, Nancy, really kind of find the right group that they're going to fit in, that they're going to maximize, their time, energy, and money?
Well, my belief is this, Macasio Forums is not for everyone. We are a best fit for CEOs and top executives that really want to be part of a high performance, high accountability, results oriented peer group. And so, the culture fit of who you are and what you're looking for is so important, because if you're part of a peer group organization that doesn't really match what you're looking for, like not everybody wants to come to a meeting and be held accountable to make commitments every time they come to a meeting, to put their issue on the table and to then take action and come back and report back. I've had some people go, oh no, I don't want that, right? Like, so great, like we're not for people that are not into that. And the world needs more peer groups for CEOs. So I think it starts with really thinking about, who are you as an entrepreneur or a CEO? What size company have you got? Where are you headed with your company? And then taking a look at what options are there out there for the type of business you run and for the type of culture fit that's going to work for you. And then reach out and explore, take a look at what's out there, find out what the differences are so that you have an opportunity to truly get into a peer group. And of course, my belief is peer groups, at least with our groups, we meet once every 2 months with 14 CEOs in a non-compete environment. That's a day to work on your business. And that is going to save you time. So, people say, oh my gosh, I don't have time to go hang with a bunch of other. Well, you do, because if you join a group where you've got 14 other people who've been there and done that before, that's going to save you incredible time. So it's a mindset around invest the time to surround yourself with people, whether it's peer groups, coaches, mentors. Take the time, because it's a lifelong journey to become a better leader. It's a lifelong journey to achieve your full potential. And it's not about sucking it up and doing it all yourself.
Well, and the reality is very few people can suck it up and do it on their own. And I'll tell you, once you get, if you're not in a mastermind group, a CEO forum, with peers, I'm going to encourage everyone, you should do it, because it has changed my life. I'm in 4 right now, and I run a pretty large one for financial advisors as well. I've got over 200 in that group. And I just look at that, and the difference we can make together, going on this journey is just amazing. I want to change subjects a little bit, Nancy, and go to kind of the book of the day, if you will. And you had an interesting pick on a book. I did just buy it today. I'm going to put it up on the screen on Amazon. But tell us a little bit about the Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. It's kind of, I fear the book. I got to read it now and see.
Well, I discovered that book when I decided to quit my job and become an entrepreneur. And the first 90 days, I literally had 90 days of panic attacks. I didn't think I was going to make it, because it was such a huge shift from being in the corporate world and having jobs for life and academic institutions. It was such a big shift and a lot of pressure with kids and a mortgage and all that kind of stuff. And I discovered this book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And that was just so grounding for me. And it just gives you practical insights around, what, in life, if you play big, you have to step into your fear. You cannot let that stop you. And once you step into that fear, you go for it. And I've literally read that book every year for the past 10 years, once a year, just to remind me of how do I play much bigger. And as we evolve with Macasio Forums, how I evolve my leadership and our vision to really make a huge contribution, I really need to continue to step into it and not let that get in the way of taking it to the next level.
Well, I think this is so important for all of us. I mean, pretty much nothing great happens when we're comfortable. It's just, I'd love it to be that way, but it doesn't seem to be that way. So we got to get out of, kind of that uncomfortable zone where we're learning, we're willing to go out and find the who's so we can really do the time mastery you're talking about. But let me go, I want to get a little bit more of what you're doing and go to a section we call resources. And I'm going to pull up your website here, Mackay CEO Forums. And, again, everything, all the transcriptions, all the links that we talk about are at aesnation.com. But, Nancy, tell me a little bit about what you have at your website and the resources there.
Well, the first resource is I launched a CEO Edge podcast series. It's called The CEO Edge. .ca 90 days ago, and I've interviewed.
Yeah, let me put it up on screen here for those who are watching. But I mean, it is. I mean, you've got I mean, I just went through the podcast before we went on because I didn't know you had this in the list, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, this is one. We're talking about actually listening to the people who have done things. Well, there's a lot of done things people here that are going to be very applicable to everyone watching this.
Yeah, they're 20-minute audio recordings of interviews. I interview CEOs and entrepreneurs and get them to talk about their exponential change journey. That's our theme all year long at Mackay Forums is the world is changing at exponential pace. What are you doing to step up your leadership to thrive in that environment? So every one of them is a very interesting story of CEOs. So I'm very excited about that. I didn't even know what a podcast was until 90 days ago. I'm very grateful. Dean Jackson, who's part of our community as well, John, who just hit me over the head and said, you should be doing these podcasts with CEOs. It's just a no-brainer. So very grateful for that because in 90 days, we've had thousands of people around the world listening to these 20-minute audio podcasts. Who knew? I mean, I really didn't know what it was going to be like. So very, very passionate about that.
Yeah, and one of the things, I'm going to encourage everyone, Dean Jackson is a very good friend of both of ours, and Dean is really great at communication, great marketing. He's primarily in the real estate industry, but he very much making a difference and Joe Polish of Genius Network. They do a podcast called I Love Marketing. I want to encourage everyone to look at how you communicate and Nancy, you are a person of action because I was with you 90 days ago or so, and it's a heck of an accomplishment getting that out. And today's technology, the ability that we all have, no matter what your passion is, Nancy's on CEOs, that information, getting it out, and I always call it, Nancy, strategic stumbling. By getting this out, magic happens now, and I call it. It's strategic because it's very thoughtful what you're doing. Stumbling because we don't know exactly what will happen and why it will be so good. But I got to tell you, it's just amazing what will happen out of that. So, and for everyone, listening to fellow entrepreneurs, particularly in your space, is just so valuable. How about though, too? The other thing I was really impressed. I just pulled up your Mackay CEO forums. You have some great resources there as well.
Yeah, we have ebooks. We've got an ebook on what great CEOs do, 28 real case studies of CEOs talking about their issues and challenges and solutions. We've got an ebook on other tips from very successful, best managed, leading brand companies, and then my ebook on CEO Time Mastery, which gives you a workbook for those of you that really want to master some of these tools. So that's all freely available. We also have practical tip sheets all related to leadership and strategy and all the things relevant to entrepreneurs who want to really grow their business.
Well, and if our listeners now, are you in Canada? Have you? Or it's across all Canada, but not outside of Canada right now.
That's right. We have CEO groups across Canada. We have some people from the U.S. that come to Canada to attend our peer group meetings. Our vision is to go global with 10,000 members around the world, but right now we're really focused on offering these peer groups for people here in Canada.
And how would somebody that is in Canada or wants to go to a Canadian meeting, how would they go and apply or start a conversation with you, Nancy?
The best way is to go to our website, mackayceoforums.com, or my email is nancy@mackayceoforums.com. And happy to support any of your listeners. And if anyone wants to get onto our monthly newsletter, which we have all of our podcasts and various other stories from CEOs, they can sign up for our monthly newsletter as well through our website.
Now, this has been great, Nancy. I want to summarize kind of the key takeaways that I'm walking away with. And I mean, I've got a lot of notes, and this is, very first thing is don't try to do it alone. Nobody gets through life unscarred. We need some help. Big ideas, 90-day plan. This is just so powerful, and in addressing both the business, the family, and personal, and time mastery. Is be conscious of this, and one of the best ways you can do it is the top 20 list. We talked about it's not so much how you do something, but it's who you do it with, and who's walked that, and the mentors, and the ability by focusing like this, the extraordinary results that you can get. Nancy, I want to thank you for taking your valuable time and sharing it with our viewers and listeners, and encourage everybody, to go take a look at some real pearls of wisdom that will be in the transcript and the links. And with that, go out and make a difference. Wish you the best of success.
Thank you so much, John. It's been an honor to be here to serve your community, and thanks for inviting me.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. AESnation.com.